Kendrick Perkins was asking J.J. Redick a question on Twitter. Here was his post, which has since been deleted.
JJ, I need to know, is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? I need to know when it comes down to the criteria and moving the goalposts for the MVPs, because I understand you in the analytics. I understand you're a historian of the game of basketball. But I went and did a little research myself. And since 1990, there's only been 3 MVPs that wasn't top 10 in scoring that won that award. Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Jokic. Now, what do they have in common? I'll let it sit there and marinate. I'm just trying to see, you know what I'm saying, when I'm walking into the club, do I need my J's on, or is it a dress code? Do I need to put another pair, of church shoes or some red bottoms? Or I need to know, is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? Like, what's the criteria when moving the goalposts for certain players to win the MVP? I need to know. Because it seems like the goalposts move every single time when we want to push it out there, this particular player that we want to win the MVP. Because we all know in 2006 when Kobe was averaging 31, when the Lakers were the 7th seed, and the roster that he had compared to Steve Nash, and Steve Nash won his second consecutive MVP in 2006, was he really supposed to win that? Was he really supposed to outdo Kobe that year? I'm just trying to figure it out, bro. I'm trying to get an understanding. What's the criteria and why the goalposts move for certain players? Is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? Carry on.
All right, so it's pretty obvious what he's getting at, right? I mean, he's making the parallel that the Phoenix Suns, who that year were 61-21. Finished 19 games ahead of the Lakers. And this has been made before, that Steve Nash shouldn't have won the MVP. But what he's saying is that the only reason Dirk, Jokic, and Steve Nash won the MVP was because, well, we changed all the different criteria for MVP because I guess sports writers wanted guys with white skin to wear, because they're not classic American-born white guys. Steve Nash is from Canada. Dirk is from Germany. And obviously Jokic is, Yugoslavian? So that's his assumption. It's disgraceful, but it's the world of basketball. It's like it's the in baseball. And I don't know if you want to call it racism or stereotyping or whatever, but like there's a cultural clash that goes on in just about every locker room, right? You have Latin players that have a different way and style and flamboyance to the way in which they play, and it's part of their culture. Right? And then you have American-born players, and their style of baseball is, and it's like a cultural clash. And there's, in the good locker rooms, there's usually a veteran or two, which keeps everything in line. In the NBA, most teams are predominantly black. I'm actually, some of this is new in that normally foreign-born white-skinned players are not considered white guys. They're considered Europeans. Even Manu Ginobili, who's obviously Argentinian but came over from Italy, like they're not like white guys get no credit for people that are white that are not born in a different country. It's a weird one. But this is basically every basketball dude in America. If you're a white guy, this is what you go through. You're not really good. People think you're good because you're white. That's what it is. Which I guess you could call it racism. It doesn't bother me. It's just the reality of this is how Kendrick thinks, how many people think. And yeah, I don't get it. I mean, in that year, if you want to get down to the raw numbers, right? And what year did he say? 2006 or 2007? Yeah, 6. He led the NBA in scoring at 35 a game. Right? 35 a game. He shot 45% from the field, 34 from three-point range. And he averaged 4.5 assists a game. Steve Nash averaged only 18 points a game, shot 52% from the field, 90 from the free throw line, and led the league in assists. But his team won 19 more games. So I don't think if you have a problem with things, then you just have a problem with how MVPs are given out. Generally, they're given out. You have to be on a successful roster. That's the part that he's missing. It's like a key piece. And by the way, if we're gonna sit here and go man, what a roster they had, I guess Sean Marion, Raja Bell, Amari Stoudemire, Leandro Barbosa. Name me the Hall of Famers on that roster. It's the whole point. But look, Kendrick Perkins doesn't really know basketball. He just doesn't. If you don't get it, I can't help you get it. I can't help you get it. If you don't understand that Steve Nash, who only averaged 18 a game, but shot 53%, a point guard who's 6'1", 6'2", shot 53% from the field, 45 from three, 90 from the line, 11.5 assists. And, oh, yeah, by the way, his team won. And, here's the thing. Ask anybody on that roster. Dude, he made Sean Marion millions. He made Amari Stoudemire millions. Leandro Barbosa, millions. Raja Bell, Raja's my guy, millions. That's not a great roster. They were a great team. Why? Steve Nash. Not because he was white. Not because he's born in Canada. Not because people hated on Kobe. Not because anything other than the reality. And it's sad, but that is actually the world of basketball. To this day, when I try and tell people, you guys know Larry Bird was the baddest dude on the planet for a good period of time. Larry Bird dealt with it. Isaiah Thomas, he wouldn't have been any good if he was black, he'd be just another guy. So you don't cancel Kendrick Perkins. You just understand the reality of that's actually a narrative in locker rooms in the black community in regards to white, foreign, domestically born players. Couldn't possibly be better. The only reason people think they're better is because they're white. No, it's not. Steve Nash was a bad, bad boy.